Hey everybody, today I am going to be reviewing a pound of flesh synthetic skin. I'm going to be going over my likes, my dislikes, and who I think that this product is for. I've been tattooing a pretty long time now, and when I learned on myself and other people. I've never used fake skin before, so I wanted to do this little experiment to let you guys know what I think of it after coming off of years of tattooing of real humans. So let's get right into it. A pound of flesh comes in this blister pack type situation. Let's open it, I'll show you what comes inside. So what we got in here is a sticker, the pound of flesh, and some directions. It explains how they want you to put the stencil on. They recommend using speed stick, and then you put the stencil on, and then you blow dry it for 5 to 10 minutes. You let it dry overnight, and then you're supposed to tattoo it the next day. Even though they want you to use speed stick to apply the stencil, for the first one, I didn't have it, so I used anchored tattoo solution. On the second plaque, I ended up using the speed stick. And both of them had very similar results. The only difference is when I used anchored, the stencil didn't come out as dark as I hoped it would be, but when I used the speed stick, the lines were more exact and the stencil was a little bit darker. So, I mean, they were very similar, and if you don't have speed stick, you can definitely use some type of stencil solution. If you follow the channel at all, you would know that recently I did a video on each one of these plaques. First I did the alien, then I did the spooky Ivysaur. You can definitely tell that the alien was the first one that I did because it's a little bit choppy. It's not as smooth as I'd like it to be. But then with the Ivysaur, I definitely figured out what I was doing and I took a little bit different of an approach. So right now I'm gonna give you my likes and I'm gonna give you my dislikes and I'm gonna give you my final thoughts about this stuff. All right, let's start off with my likes. Number one, I like how they come in cool shapes. These are plaques that I can hang on my walls and display as portfolio pieces. They also have body parts and different random stuff like rubber ducks and little baby dolls. Unlike other brands that have like these weird paper skin shapes that if you were to hang this on the wall, I feel like it just doesn't look as nice. Number two, it allows you to experiment with different styles and techniques without messing up a client. And if you mess up, the worst thing that happens is you lose a little bit of money. Number three, needles are my very favorite tool to create art with. And sometimes I don't want to deal with a client. So these are really nice to be able to set up my machine, put on some music, and just tattoo. But without the pressure or the hassle of dealing with an actual human being. Let's move on to my dislikes. Number one, putting the stencil on and waiting for it to dry was just a nightmare. Like I said earlier, I used the speed stick like the directions told me to, and I also used anchored, and both of them gave me similar results. You have to be very careful when you're wiping away excess ink because you can very easily wipe away your stencil. I recommend dabbing your lines instead of wiping them away until your whole stencil is in the skin, just because you really do run the risk of just completely wiping away your stencil. Number two, it is very difficult to tattoo. If you tattoo one of your clients the way that you tattoo one of these plaques, you are going to destroy their skin. The toughness of the fake skin makes you much more heavy-handed than you actually need to be on a real client. When it came to lining, shading, and color packing, I had to be much more aggressive with this skin than I normally am with a regular human being. Number three, this one was a little bit weird and it caught me off guard. When you try to put lighter colors right next to a dark color or next to a black line, that darker color will start to bleed into your lighter color a little bit. So for example, when I was doing the yellow in the jack-o'-lantern, I noticed when I was coming up against this black line, I was starting to put the yellow into the skin, but it was turning into a darker yellow just because I was next to black. Now there is some shading behind that yellow, but I'm talking about when I was right next to the black lines, it was starting to make the yellow look almost muddy, and it'll give you almost an inconsistent color if you're not careful. Number four, if you are new to tattooing and you're trying to get down a technique to use on your clients and you're learning it on this fake skin and you feel confident with the fake skin and you go to your client, the way that you have to apply it to your actual client is going to be completely different. Your hand pressure and hand speed is going to be completely different on the fake skin than it will be on your client. So in conclusion, I think that a pound of flesh and all other fake skin brands for that matter should be used by people that already understand how to tattoo and you're just trying to have fun or do a portfolio piece to hang on the wall. I do not think it is a good idea if you're just learning to tattoo to start to learn and practice on fake skin. I know that it's really appealing to try to practice on fake skin because there's no risk involved. You can't mess up anybody's tattoo if it's just on fake skin. But the thing is, you're going to develop bad habits if you're learning on fake skin. I think it's really important when you're learning to tattoo yourself, to tattoo your friends, and people that just come into the shop knowing that you're an apprentice learning, because you're going to have that pressure of oh my God, I can mess this person up, I better do a good job. You need to learn to handle that type of pressure. And also you need to know how the different methods of tattooing and your different hand speeds and hand pressures are going to heal. So if you're doing everything on fake skin, you're never gonna see anything come back healed, and you're just gonna develop bad habits. When you're tattooing somebody, you need to keep in mind that that tattoo is going to age over time. What's that gonna look like in 5 or 10 years? On these skins, you can put lines right next to each other and it's no big deal. They're going to stay like that. But if you put lines too close together on an actual human being, they're going to blur together over time. Overall, I really do like Pound of Flesh. I think they're really cool and I'm gonna keep using them, but just a word of caution to those that are learning, this is not like tattooing a real human. So that is it for me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comment section. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I hope that you have a good day.